Say hello to the all-new 5th generation Honda City. Now this car will coexist with the existing City in the market, but it's still a very important car. And not only because every time a new City is launched, it sets a new benchmark in its class, but if there were ever a sedan that could actually take on SUVs in the 13 to 17 lakh price bracket, the likes of the Creta and the Seltos, the City is that car. So let's find out if it actually brings some firsts, some new things, does it move the goalpost forward, and whether it has what it takes to take on the Creta and the Seltos. As far as platforms go, the new City is based on the same platform as the current generation car, but significant upgrades have been made. For starters, even though the new car sits on the same wheelbase as the current City, it is now longer, and Honda has widened the track lengths as well. This has also made the car wider, and as it turns out, it is also lower than the current City, even though the ground clearance hasn't changed. And the end result of all those changes is that even though the City is longer, it still looks very hunkered down. Now, the really telling design differences, apart from all the new sheet metal work, is it gets this bold chrome outline here. It's got complete LED headlamps, a new bumper, all of it giving it a sportier aura than before. On the side, you've got a new design for the wheels. Also, the tires are now 185 instead of 175s that cities have used in the past. And if you look at the car from the side, it's shorter, or it sits lower than the previous car, but the ground clearance is still the same. And at the rear, you've got completely new tail lamps, LED tail lamps, 3D feeling tail lamps. I mean, the look and feel is 3D. And you've got new bumpers, a new tailgate, and overall this car looks sportier, more modern than the current City that it's going to exist with. Now this is an all-new car, no matter the platform sharing with the current Honda City, and it shows on the inside. So to start off with, you've got this new steering wheel, multifunctional steering wheel. It's got it's chunky and nice to hold. You've got clocks which are not the most modern in terms of design, but they have a 7-inch color TFT, lots of info, easy to read. And then you've got this dash which is more slab-like, instead of having cuts and creases and planes and curves, which could be difficult on the eye, but this is very easy on the eye. And then to enhance the upmarket feel of the interior, you can see all these matte chrome lines that are everywhere, these outlines. And then you've got wood inserts. All of this just uplifts the feel of the cabin, including this soft touch leather at pieces. Now, even if you look at the fit and finish, the shut lines everywhere, very tight. And then you've got these knobs and buttons which work and operate with that sense of engineering finesse, and you can hear every click. Like, even for buttons, there's a positive click that is there, which just feels good. If there's one thing that we don't really like on this car, is these non-textured plastics that you can see on the door, even a little bit on the dash. And these are hard plastic, so it's also got that irritating noise that comes when you scratch it, and they just look a little cheap in an otherwise upmarket cabin. You can also see that there's textured plastic here on the dash top, but again, it's not soft grain. If it were soft grain, it would have given this car that additional edge that it needed to take on the more popular SUVs like the Creta and the Seltos. There are other well thought out bits nonetheless. There's ample of storage, for instance, door pockets, cup and bottle holders, a glove box, and smart solutions for holding one's pen and cell phone at the rear. The feature list on the new Honda City is a long one as well. And yes, it gets a sunroof, but there's more. It also gets height adjustable seat for the driver, a multifunctional steering wheel that also adjusts for rake, cruise control, a color TFT screen as part of the instrumentation, and an 8-inch touchscreen multimedia system with everything from Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and WebLink. It gets a retractable rear windscreen sunshade. It has ambient lighting. It gets lane watch courtesy a camera mounted on the left ORVM. There's a reversing camera with a normal, wide, and top view option, and it gets climate control, voice command, and a connectivity suite in the form of Honda Connect. Honda Connect is the new City's big party trick. It essentially has the same functionality as the connectivity solutions offered by the likes of the new Creta, the Kia Seltos, and the MG Hector. So on this automatic version, you can start the car, turn on the AC, check the fuel levels, find the car, check air pressures, and get to know if your driver has been driving too fast. You can also geofence the car. But its USP is its compatibility with Amazon Echo, also popularly known as Alexa. Sitting at home, you can say stuff like, Alexa, start the car. Alexa, turn on the car AC, and impress your kids, who can in turn impress their friends once this whole social distancing thing fades away. Honda Connect app also allows the car user to book a service appointment and keep a keen eye on the work being performed. Now, the seats have always been a strong point for Honda cities, and it's no different on this new car. Now let me just adjust this to my seating posture. And the driving position is spot on. The seats, they're large, seat back, seat bottom, they're cushy, comfy, and they have just the right amount of bolstering on the side. Now with this set on my driving position, let's just step back and see what the rear is like. As you can tell, acres of knee and leg room, and that's on set to my driving position. I can just literally sleep here, which is fantastic. And shoulder room, again, lots of shoulder room, which is again a strong point for this car. Headroom, however, I'm 5'9", and for me it's just about all right, but if you're a 6-footer, you might struggle with the space. But the seats themselves, again, large seat back, large seat bottom, cushy, and the headrest, not adjustable, but it's at a good height, so it should help you in a whiplash. In terms of safety, it gets a 5-star ASEAN crash test rating, courtesy a lighter but stiffer body structure. And in equipment terms, it gets 6 airbags, ESP, ABS, and tire pressure monitoring system. Driving this new car feels just like a city, and that's paying a big compliment to the car. So you've got a lovely driving position, you've got seats that are large and comfortable, well bolstered, you've got a steering that feels great to hold, and the visibility all around, especially up front through the A-pillars. As you'll notice that they've moved the rear view mirrors from the A-pillar to the door so that it opens up more visibility through here, even through the back. When you look through to see when you're joining into a lane and you want to look back, again, the window visibility, excellent everywhere. So when it comes to driving, you just feel at home almost immediately. It feels very natural. Plus the ergonomics all around, everything, it's easy to reach. So in that sense, it seems like Honda's done a really good job. And you drive it, you're going to feel immediately comfortable, and that's a big plus. Coming to drivetrains, the new Honda City is available with 3 options. You've got a diesel with a 6-speed manual. It's the same engine that we've seen on the new Amaze. They've made some changes for it to suit the city better, but it's essentially the same engine. But there's better NVH on the new car, so what you hear inside and even outside of the new engine is a little lower. Then you've got the petrol manual, and you've got the petrol-automatic. The petrol engine, says Honda, is all new, but it's more like a much improved version of the older 1.5 iVTEC engine. So even though it might make the same power and torque outputs as the older petrol engine, Honda says the mid-range and NVH has improved significantly. In fact, Honda has worked hard towards bringing down the NVH levels all around. There's more insulation material around the front and central pillars, there's more sound absorbing material on the floor, and the doors now have twice the amount of sealing ability to better restrict outside noise. The new City also gets new engine mounts, a new exhaust system, and new tires to cut NVH further. Speaking of the engine, the new motor now uses a double overhead cam, or a DOHC layout, instead of a single overhead cam used on the current model. It also gets variable valve timing now to go along with variable valve lift, and Honda has worked towards reducing friction, improving airflow, and making the engine lighter. And this engine, it is mated to an automatic, a CVT. Now for this new CVT, Honda's tried to reduce the rubber band effect. It's that stretchiness that you get in CVTs, where the engine revs and sits at a higher RPM while the road speed is not in line with what the engine revs indicate. Something that we are used to given years of driving manuals and regular torque converter automatics, or even dual clutch automatics. But they've tried to reduce that by engineering pseudo shifts into this. So that rubber band effect is reduced. It's still there, but it's reduced. And I personally love CVTs. So and this particular one, when you're driving at peace, you're not revving it much, you're not going hell for leather, it's quiet, it's peaceful, it's seamless, and there's always enough torque available for you to continue. So it's just a very relaxing experience. And then when you gas it, like I'm doing now, then you can hear the engine getting a little louder. You still can't feel the vibrations as much, but yes, you can hear the engine, and so I don't know if you can catch it, but there is a perceptible change in RPM, which you generally don't associate with CVTs, but it's there on this one. In terms of ride and handling, the city was always focused more towards comfort and ease of driving. That continues here. So when you're driving at reasonably city slow speeds, not slow, but let's say about 60 kilometers per hour over roads there with small bumps, little bit of small ditches, it rides all of that really well, and passengers can feel it, but not it's not obvious, or it's not in your face, or you can't feel it that much, so it remains comfortable throughout. It's only when you hit square edged bumps that's when you can hear and feel the suspension. It feels and sounds a little crashy at that times, but most of the time the ride is pretty well sorted. Even at higher speeds, if the road conditions are decent, even if they are undulating, the car remains flat. So it's a very peaceful, relaxed, comfortable car in that sense. What's also good about the new city is the handling. It feels light and agile. So you've got comfortable ride on one side, and you've got handling that is sure-footed. And the steering, I mean, it's light, it's quick. It's not the best when it comes to feedback, but it's also quick. So the car reacts to your responses really well, and there's barely any lag. It all comes together as one unit. So yeah, I mean, that agility and light-footedness is something that the new city does really well. So has the new Honda City moved the goalpost further? It most certainly has. And when it comes to being a city, it is by far the best city we have seen, and a big step up over the car that's going to currently exist with this city. So it is more drivable, it is more engaging to drive, it's quieter, it's more refined, it's got more features, even the quality levels have been moved up, and design-wise, it's a nice step up too. But is it good enough to claw some advantage back from the likes of the Creta and the Seltos? Maybe not. Unless, of course, Honda is able to pull something magical out of the pricing hat at launch.